All right, everyone. Welcome back to a special video today. Today we have Brandon Reid on with us from Heartland. He's going to go over the hospital indemnity product. Many of you, as of today, you can see the hospital indemnity products on the toolkit. Many of you might not know how to sell them. Many of you might be representing Medicare plans already to your clients, dental plans, and maybe you haven't been working hospital indemnity plans into your presentation. So Brandon's going to go over how to sell the product, what it is, and different ways that you can present the value to your client and how important it can be to build into your specifically Medicare Advantage sales.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Joe, for having me on, and hello, everybody. My name is Brandon Reid, like Joe said. I took a position with Heartland National back in April of this year as VP of Sales, and I'm looking forward to educating everybody on today's recording on how to sell and cross-sell hospital indemnity with your Medicare Advantage business, but even in the under 65 space. We've seen a huge uptake in sales working this product into ACA and major medical policies as well. So not limited to just Medicare, but a very exciting product, and glad to be on here today.
Great.
So without further ado, we'll get started. We'll first talk about how I've sold this policy. Let's go over the state footprint, make sure everybody knows where it's available. And then once we go over how to sell it and how it's built, we'll go into our agent portal and e-application so that you can see where to go and write business and see just how easy that is to take an application and put one through. So first of all, very excited to be launching this product on Insurance Toolkits. It's really essentially going to take out a step for everybody in the field and on the phone with your client. Rather than needing to look at our uninsurable meds list, Joe should have all that taken care of for you. And same thing, if your client is 2 years out from having cancer, go ahead and put the application through without you even going through the health questions. So it's a very exciting time right now, and we're happy to be using Joe as a partner here. So our state footprint, our hospital indemnity is in 36 states currently. We have a Medicare supplement in about 10 of those 36 states. With hopes to expand that product into an additional 15 or 20 states in 2022. So a big expansion coming on the Medicare supplement front. Today we'll focus a majority of the call on the hospital indemnity. But before we get into that, let's just talk real quick about our bonus opportunity on the Medicare supplement side. We have a reinsurance deal with Mutual of Omaha. They reinsure us 95%. So a big company backing us on the Medicare supplement. We pay a $300 bonus on underwritten business as well. That bonus has just been extended into the remainder of 2022, so from June till the end of the year. So if you are writing in any of those 10 states listed on the availability map, be sure to take advantage of that bonus and some great rates in most of our states. But getting to the focus of today's call, I'd like to cover how I personally have sold hospital indemnity. It sounds like it's the same way Joe has done it as well. I like to package the hospital indemnity in with the Medicare Advantage policy or with the under 65 health plan as I'm going through their current benefits. So educating them in the Medicare space on traditional Medicare, how that works, going through all the gaps in Part A and B, and giving them the option, of course, for a Medicare supplement with a standalone drug plan or a Medicare Advantage policy. We're seeing this middle option here, the Medicare supplement with a standalone drug plan, becoming a lot unaffordable for a lot of people. With that Part B inflation going up from $148.50 to $170.10 this year, and increasing prices on Part D drug plans, as well as rate increases on Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage is becoming a very popular option. We're all seeing that shift right now in the Medicare space. And Medicare Advantage plans used to get a really bad rap, right? You still hear it from some of your clients telling you that they don't want a network. They don't have to worry about network restrictions and copays. But in today's market, it's not that anymore. We've got PPO plans out there with nationwide networks that allow you to go see an in-network doctor at a $0 copay anywhere in the country, right? Phenomenal programs, including drug coverage, extra benefits like dental, vision, and hearing, and more. Transportation, over-the-counter, and all these added benefits and gym memberships that you don't typically see on a Medicare supplement policy. Not to mention, with Medicare Advantage, our drug pricing is a lot better on a Part C plan than you would see on Part D. So we're able to take advantage of $0 copays on mail order pharmacies with our tier 1s and 2s on these plans that you don't really see on Part D. And we're able to bring them down from a $150 Medicare supplement premium with maybe a $12, $13 drug plan every month to $0 with built-in drug coverage and added benefits. The problem with this third option over here on the right-hand side is there are exposures related to Part C, right? We've got gaps in coverage like hospital, like specialists, right? Like outpatient surgeries and skilled nursing. And one of the biggest of all is that 20% coinsurance on chemotherapy. So costs related to cancer. So what I've done for a couple of years now, and what I love about this hospital indemnity product is we can package a $25, $35 a month plan with that Medicare Advantage policy and fill in a majority of those bigger exposures. Now, taking care of cancer, taking care of skilled nursing, taking care of outpatient surgeries, that comes at an additional price. But we've got the ability to do all of that in one little package here, one bank draft every month, and we've got you covered. So we'll talk a little bit about why you should sell it, and then we'll dive into positioning this as you're walking your client through their summary of benefits on their MAPD plan. So why sell hospital indemnity for us as agents? Well, because it's a great opportunity for more income. It'll add to your bottom line maybe another $20,000, $30,000 a year in income. What you'll see as brokers out there, this policy pays on issuance. So rather than you waiting till January, early to mid-January, like you do for your Medicare Advantage commissions during AEP, these policies are paying on issuance. So you write a policy on October 15th for a January 1 effective date, which you can do because we can issue these guys up to 90 days out. So if you do that, your commission is going to come in just a few days later via a 9-month advanced or as earned if you choose so. That's what I love about that. During AEP, when we're waiting for some additional funds to pay for more marketing, to pay your bills, right? To keep things running, this policy is paying and allowing you to do so. What's nice about it too is it's going to give your clients the ability to get a lot closer to those Medicare supplement benefits that they couldn't afford, but for a fraction of the price. So we're filling in the gaps and getting them closer to those benefits. One of the nicest things about these policies is they're indemnity plans, so there's no coordination of benefits. There's no really underwriting at the time of enrollment. It's a simplified issue policy, but it's just easy to position there and put them in a much better position than they were in before.
I don't know if you can clarify this, but something Nick mentioned to me was when you're doing the app, a lot of agents do Medicare Advantage because there's no underwriting. And the thing I asked Nick that I liked, he told me that you have the several health questions, you answer them, Heartland takes you at your word, hopefully you're answering them honestly. Then if the client has a claim within the first 2 years, they just verify that you were accurate. Otherwise, it's going to get issued very quickly. Is my understanding correct on the?
Yeah, that's wonderful, Joe. So we have a simplified issue application, meaning you, the agent, are doing field underwriting. We don't have a team of underwriters looking at this policy before we approve it. You, the agent, we're taking your word for it, and we're hoping that you're doing a good job of this, are answering this series of health questions on the application. We have a guaranteed issue window, ages 64.5 to 65.5, 6 months prior to the month of, and 6 months following your 65th birthday. And if they don't fall under that 13-month window, we do need to answer these health questions prior to submitting the enrollment form. So Joe's team are going to help us simplify this process for you and let you know if you can put that applicant through with us. So simplified issue, meaning no actual underwriting from the company, but the agent's doing a good job underwriting on their end in the field or on the phone. So pretty serious conditions here. Please be mindful, since this is a recording, I want to hit on this. We do accept CPAPs for sleep apnea. So just go ahead and answer that question no if they're using a CPAP for sleep apnea here. Question 1G is in George. And yes, our cancer benefit is not guaranteed issue. You will still have to answer questions 4 and 5 to apply for cancer coverage. Joe made a good point. We do have a 6-month pre-ex on this plan. So we don't cover anything related to your 6-month pre-existing conditions for the first 6 months of you having the policy in force. Followed by, we have what's called a 2-year contestability period, in which we can look back at medical records to make sure that this application was not white sheeted, to make sure that the applicant was truthful when answering these questions for you in your appointment. That would be the only reason a claim was ever held up. Otherwise, we can get you claims paid within a week, very quickly. In that contestability period, sometimes we do have to pull those medical records if it's due to an illness and not an accident, and that could hold up the claim to a little over 30 days sometimes within that first 2-year period.
And just to clarify for an agent who's not familiar, not to cut you off, on the application, there's the 5 questions. The bottom to apply if you want to get the rider. So if I'm applying outside of the guaranteed issue period, do I have to answer all 5 as an applicant or just the top 3?
If you're applying within guaranteed issue, all you have to answer are these last 2 questions if you're applying for cancer coverage.
And if I'm outside, do I have to answer all 5 as the applicant?
Yes, yes, sir. Outside of the GI, you answer all these questions here. Okay, I think that covers most of it on the application. So even if for guaranteed issue, please keep in mind the 6-month pre-ex does apply, and keep in mind that is a 1-year window there, 13 months on the GI period. So what you're going to find as agents too, another reason to be selling this product is because it helps you increase persistency in the home. So it creates a lot more stickiness within that book of business. So that way, you know, Mrs. Jones or Mr. Jones is not calling into that Joe Namath commercial, you know, during AEP. They're not taking one of those 10 or 15 calls that are coming in every day to try and change their plan. Since you have 2 or 3 policies in that home, they're calling you with all their questions about their insurance. You have now customized their portfolio to protect them from that hospital copay, from that outpatient surgery copay that they're subject to on their current plan. Not the plan that Joe could change you to, the plan that you have right now and the plan that I helped you with. And with the Medicare Advantage market growing the way that it is right now, there's no better time than now to be cross-selling this product and offering it to your clients. There is no reason a hospital indemnity should not be offered to somebody in that guaranteed issue window. If you're not talking about it, you're doing your clients a disservice. I feel strongly about that. I've had clients come to me and tell me 18 days into their PPO plan that they were hospitalized and diagnosed with AFib. So health status can change in the matter of days and even minutes. Thankfully, that lady had a hospital indemnity plan, and I was able to help her with a $750 benefit to pay for her emergency room copay and the hospital copays. So it's a strong plan. I believe in this strongly. And the way that we sell it is with the Medicare Advantage plan. While you're going through the summary of benefits, identify the copays, identify the gaps. Make sure that they understand what a maximum out of pocket is. The fact that that is the most you could spend in any given year, but it also means that you could potentially spend that dollar amount in 1 year. So we need to make sure that you're protected all the way up to hitting that maximum out of pocket if you're using your plan. And we can do that, and it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to do so. So here's how it's done. Mr. or Mrs. Jones, the most important thing that we do today is make sure that you understand how your current plan works, or the plan that you're moving them to in July, right? Or in January of next year. Mr. or Mrs. Jones, if you need to see a PCP today, based on your current plan, you're responsible for a $10 copay in network, $45 to see a specialist. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to protect you from some of those smaller exposures, but is that something you can afford? You should get a yes there. I've never had anybody, turn me down on a $0 PCP copay, even if it's 10, or a $25 or $45 specialist copay. Usually the client's telling you, well, I'm not too worried about that anyways. But what I can do, Mr. or Mrs. Jones, is I can protect you from some of the bigger exposures related to your health plan. For example, on your plan, you're subject to a $340 copay days 1 through 5 in the hospital. And by the way, I don't know if your previous agent had told you or if you've never talked to an agent, I'm telling you now, That is a copay that restores every 60 days, meaning 61 days later, you're put back in the hospital, you're subject to another 5-day copay. So that's why there's so much value in hospital indemnity, is because those benefits on your plan, on your HI product, are restoring as well. So once that hospital copay restores, your benefits are back restored as well to take care of another claim. Skilled nursing, whether it be $188 a day, days 21 through 49 or 21 through 100, we've got the ability to protect you from that as well. Outpatient surgeries, ambulance, the emergency room, and not to mention that 20% coinsurance that you're seeing on chemotherapy. There's only one plan out there I know right now where that chemotherapy coinsurance is 10%, but most plans it's 20%. So understanding that you don't have to be paying for all of these copays on your way up to that $4,500 MOOP, maximum out of pocket. Heartland National can be paying those for you, so long as you're willing to pay a small premium, right? So Mr. or Mrs. Jones, in a scenario where you took an ambulance to the emergency room and were hospitalized for 5 days on this current plan, you would be subject to a $2,015 bill. Do you want to be paying that $340 copay per day, days 1 through 5? Do you want to be responsible for some of those other copays we just talked about? If not, don't let me forget. I'll show you a way we can cover those in just a minute. So would you prefer to be responsible for that $2,015 or get a check from Heartland National paying for all of those copays and leaving you in the green $85, right? So by paying a $31 premium here in this example, you'd be covered in that exact same scenario. So tons of value just in the base plan itself, right? Benefits ranging from $100 a day to $600 a day in $50 increments, covering both accident and illnesses. Benefit periods ranging from 3 to 10 days, 15, 20, or 31 days. In Utah, that's a benefit that's limited to 10 days minimum. Small things like that, where I'm sure working with Joe, it's going to help us make sure that that's understood. 100% observation benefit. So in order for that hospital confinement benefit to pay, you need to be in the hospital for a full 24 hours. But for observation to pay, you could be in there for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and we would still pay 100% in observation, 100% of your hospital benefit, up to 3 days per year. So a good benefit built into your base plan premium, and adding a lot of value right down below that is our $150 emergency room benefit, a benefit that'll pay 4 times per year at $150, and it's not contingent on hospital admission. Joe, what usually happens on a Medicare Advantage plan if on that ER copay, if you're admitted to the hospital within 24 to 48 hours? It's usually waived, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a copay that's waived. And guess what? You can still let us know that you went to the ER and get your $150 payment, your $150 benefit, because there is no coordination of benefits when working with indemnity policies.
Something I like too is that you can, because a lot of, especially in my area, there's a lot of plans that are moving to the lump sum. So I like that there's the rider that you can actually have the lump sum if you're confined, because not all the plans are days 1 through 4, 1 through 6, 1 through 7. So that's, I noticed it's on the right, you're probably going to get to it. But if those of you do sell Medicare Advantage and you're thinking of that, what if it's not per day? That's why I think the rider is useful.
Absolutely. Good call. So in order to add that rider, we do have to have at least a small benefit, base plan benefit of $100 for 3 days. But that's actually another good point to your point. That hospital confinement rider is heavily utilized in the under 65 space, where you've got deductibles and huge deductibles, right? Maybe even $8,000 to where you're not being covered for anything until you've satisfied that. So packaging a $600 a day benefit for 31 days in the under 65 market doesn't cost you a whole lot to do that. Not to mention adding in a $2,500 lump sum hospital confinement benefit that pays after 1 day in the hospital. Good points, and I'm glad we touched on a little bit of that. So that hospital benefit, we talked about it earlier, does restore every 60 days. That way, if they need to go back in the hospital, we could pay again. We talked about the GI, right? The policy is issue ages 18 to 85, meaning it's not limited to just Medicare. You can sell this to anybody. Our top 3 producers in the country right now are selling this with their ACA plans. The plan was designed around Medicare Advantage, but there's ways you can sell it to help people under 65 as well and not on Medicare. Our household discount is available in most of our 36 states. We've got qualifications requiring you to live with somebody over the age of 18 in most states. And in some states like Ohio, Oklahoma, and Illinois, you have to have 2 people apply. So again, Ohio, Illinois, and Oklahoma, you need 2 people to apply to qualify for that 7% discount. In all the other states, you just have to live with somebody over 18. The policy is rated the same for men and women, and it's issue age rated. So the rate locks in at 60 at the time of purchase, whether that be 65 or 70. Right? The rate locks in. That way, when you're 80, 90 years old, you're still paying that 65-year-old rate. Usually people like to sell these at 64 before they even turn 65. That way they're locked in at that 64-year-old rate. We talked about the simplified issue aspect in the 6-month pre-X, as well as our 2-year contestability period. If somebody does end up getting nicked by that contestability period, what would happen is we would actually lapse the policy, cancel the policy, and refund their premiums. We have a dual application available on both the paper app that we looked at just briefly earlier and our e-application. We have 7 optional riders for you to choose from, starting with that lump sum cancer benefit. And on the topic of that dual application, just please keep in mind we do have a $25 policy fee. However, if you use the dual application, the policy fee is waived for applicant 2. So they'll just see 1 policy fee. To qualify for that dual application, you have to be paying out of the same bank information. Now, on the topic of the cancer benefit, that benefit ranges from $1,000 to $2,000, $20,000 in benefit. And we have a built-in recurrence benefit. So you don't have to pay anything extra for this benefit. For a $5,000 cancer benefit at 65, you'd be looking at about $15, $16 a month in premium. It would take your policyholders more than 27 years to pay more into that benefit and premium than they'd get from a one-time occurrence, a one-time benefit payment. Not to mention if it paid again at 100% 5 years later, it would take over 50 years, maybe even 60, to pay more into that plan and premium than you got from those 2 benefits. So a lot of value right there on the cancer benefit with the recurrence rider built in. We do pay 100% on your internal cancers past stage 0, 25% on cancer in situ, non-invasive, and 5% on your skin cancers. We have a lump sum hospital confinement benefit that Joe and I just finished talking about, heavily utilized in the under 65 space. And we're seeing more and more of it now, like Joe mentioned, with Medicare Advantage, because there are some markets like in Texas where you see plans with a per stay copay rather than per day. So a very good opportunity to position something like that with a small base plan or a big base plan in the under 65 space. We have a lump sum outpatient surgery benefit allowing, instead of you paying that, being responsible for that $340 copay, you can have that covered, getting you closer to those Medicare supplement benefits that you couldn't afford. Skilled nursing is so affordable. I'll tell you right now, this $150 skilled nursing benefit runs about $13 a month to cover them days 21 through 100. It's about $16 for a 65-year-old to add the $200 benefit option, taking care of that $188 copay that they're currently subject to. We also have an ambulance benefit that pays up to 3 times per year. That's per calendar year, pays for both air and ground ambulance. Okay, not contingent on hospital admission, just like the ER benefit. And that only costs about $2.40 without our discount for a 65-year-old. So the ER benefit being built in and adding an ambulance benefit for about $2 a month sounds like a good deal to me. A wellness benefit that pays 4 times per year at $25 per health screening test, including your annual physicals, your immunizations, colonoscopies, vision and hearing exams, even stress tests, right, at the cardiologist's office. A benefit that's very heavily utilized and can pay for your premiums for a couple months, because you're paying probably about $2 a month for this benefit and receiving up to $100 in benefit a year. Lastly, our DVH rider, a phenomenal benefit. The reason I like it so much is because there's no network affiliated with it. Just like our hospital benefits and our other riders, there is no network and no coordination of benefits. So the way this works is you've got two options to choose from: $1,000 benefit or a $1,500 benefit option. With a $100 deductible that we waive for the following services after having the policy in force for 3 months. The deductible is waived on $75 in dental cleanings, $50 in vision exams, and $50 in hearing exams. Even if you have a $0 copay on your MAPD plan for that dental cleaning or for that eye exam, we're going to go ahead and cover you and pay you that $75 either way. All we need to see is evidence that you went into the dentist and had that dental cleaning done. Same thing with the hospital plan and the cancer rider, things like that. All we need is an itemized bill or a UB04 on the hospital side. And for the cancer diagnosis, all we need to see is that pathology report showing that they've been diagnosed with cancer. It's a very simple claims process. Your policyholders get our customer service and claims email address and fax number on the back of their ID cards. So just remind Mr. or Mrs. Jones that they just need to have the hospital send in that itemized bill or UB04 to customer service. Very easy process. So back to the dental vision hearing benefit. We do cover basic services after 6 months, including a $200 prescription eyewear or hearing aid maximum. Major services covered after 12. We'll notice here within year 1, we pay 60% of actual charges at the dentist, at the eye doctor, at the hearing specialist. 75 again on dental cleanings, $50 on the vision and hearing exams. Let's say somebody needs to go in for a filling, right? 7 months in, they've had their policy for more than 6 months. We will pay 60% of those actual charges for that filling, up to $1,000 or $1,500 per year in benefit. After 12 months, we'll pay 70% of actual charges, and after 24 months, 2 years, we'll start paying 80% of those actual charges. And again, covering major services after 12. So thanks, Joe. That's it for the PowerPoint presentation. I was thinking we could jump into our e-application here in Agent Portal and do a quick demonstration.
I think that would be great.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Gotta shut my door.
No worries, Joe. So I'll get started here. The Agent Portal website is www.heartlandagent.com. You'll notice here on the left-hand side, we have a Contact Us tab. That's where you would find, as an agent, that customer service fax number for your policyholders to send that claim into. But again, they will get a copy of that on their ID card as well. You'll also see you can access that paper app packet, our wonderful brochure, and our underwriting guide right here in the Agent Portal as well. So everything's available to download, but you can also place orders for us to get you a copy of that in the mail. On page 17 of your application packet, you'll notice an outline of coverage. Page 17 here. Okay, that outline of coverage is what you're responsible to leave with your policyholders, right? And explains everything to them, everything we just went over. All of our benefits on the base plan, observation, the emergency room benefit that pays 4 times a year, even the household discount, and some limitations and exclusions. Okay, then it gets into our riders down below here, lump sum cancer, and it explains to them that yes, you signed up for a policy that pays 25% on in situ, non-invasive stage 0 cancers, 5% on your skin cancers, and 100% on those internal cancers past stage 0, with the recurrence provision built in. A wonderful resource for you to utilize following today's presentation. An uninsurable meds list, which Joe's got, and Joe is plugging into the insurance toolkit to help us make that process go a lot smoother for you in field underwriting. Our MedSup e-application available and powered by CSG, and our Secure Flex Hospital Indemnity e-app also available. However, we built this one in-house and love it. Gives you the ability again to run an application for 2 individuals at the same time. You choose to take advantage of that. Again, the second policyholder does not have to pay their $25 application fee. But look how easy it is to just plug and play. I have a $295 copay, let's just say for 5 days. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the gap at $300 for 5 days. Although I do like to give the policyholder the ability to purchase more coverage on that hospital benefit just because of inflation, right? These Medicare Advantage plans are not standardized, and they do have the ability to change, right? Just because your benefits are at $295 a day, days 1 through 5 right now, doesn't mean that they always will be. So you can upsell on the hospital. It's actually I do recommend it long term. I'll go ahead and run this one in Texas here, and we'll apply the discount. If you're in Illinois, Ohio, or Oklahoma, you'll notice here, you have to have 2 people apply to qualify for that discount. So it catches it so that you're not making any mistakes on the application. Unquote. Bringing us to a whopping grand total of $25.67. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you now have a $300 benefit, days 1 through 5. That restores every 60 days. You also have a remainder benefit in Texas and Florida and Pennsylvania. That pays you an additional $15 a day for any remaining days up to day 31 that you don't have coverage for. So in this case, days 6 through 31, you'll get a $15 benefit per day since you didn't purchase coverage for those days. You'll also notice here included in the base plan is that ER benefit. So Mr. and Mrs. Jones, at this point, you're covered for 2 copays now, not just 1. And for an additional $2.40 a month without the discount, we can add a $200 ambulance benefit, bringing you up to $27.90 with our household discount. At this point, this is where we come back to the fact that cancer insurance is so important. We all have loved ones who have passed away from cancer. And actually, for me, all 4 grandparents have passed away from cancer. So I know the value in a cancer benefit, and I like to show them the value. So Mr. or Mrs. Jones, right here, whether it's over the phone or in person, I like to do this. I like to tell them that your annual premium for this policy for this cancer benefit is $178.56. So Mr. or Mrs. Jones, just to show you how much value there is in this $5,000 cancer benefit, I'm going to take your lump sum benefit, again, whether that pays once or twice in your lifetime. I'm going to take it divided by your annual premium here, just to show you how long it would take to pay more into your plan and premium than you would receive from a one-time benefit. And that shows me here, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, that it will take you more than 28 years to pay more into that benefit and premium than you would receive in a one-time cancer benefit. Now, not to mention, we do have that recurrence provision built in, right? So 5 years later, you've been in full remission of cancer, and you apply that again, another benefit of $5,000. It would have taken you 56 years to pay more into that benefit and premium than you'd receive from those 2 benefits. A real easy benefit to sell around the coinsurance on chemo, the fact that there are a lot of cancer-related costs that aren't covered by Medicare, like your experimental treatments and certain types of stem cell transplants, and costs related to transportation and room and board, right? Whether it be the Mayo Clinic or Cleveland Clinic in Ohio. There's costs associated with all of that for parking, for your family members, and more. So lump sum hospital confinement, again, a benefit heavily utilized in the under 65 space to protect people from deductibles. And then the ability to, yes, protect you and get you closer to those MedSup benefits with some of these other riders here. And it doesn't cost a lot to do that. So we can cover all of that skilled nursing copay for you or some of it, right? Do you want to cover a majority of that $188 a day or all of it, Mr. and Mrs. Jones? In this situation, we'll cover all of it, and we're still right around $70 a month. And we've got protection from not just one, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 copays now for $71 a month. The first month, you'll see an additional $25 applied to your monthly premium. Since this individual is within our guaranteed issue window, they don't need to apply through the simplified issue underwriting. They do, however, still have to answer those 2 questions, number 4 and 5, to purchase the cancer benefit. Looking back 5 years instead of 2 for those cancers, and checking to see if they've experienced any symptoms that would have caused them to seek medical attention or advice from a practitioner for those questions up top listed 1A through H, which again are some pretty serious conditions, right? Questions 1A through H. You do see that we take diabetics up to 50 units of insulin per day, so long as they don't have neuropathy or retinopathy, any complications of diabetes like that. So at this point, that's it. Joe's system would do a good job telling you if this individual will qualify through insurance toolkits. And they'll even check the uninsurable meds for you as well.
Yeah, I think this is a great way to make Medicare Advantage less intimidating for a lot of people, especially the ones who want the benefits but don't necessarily want to deal with the rate increases on MedSup, or they don't want to have to pay for a drug plan separately. So for those of you who are representing Medicare Advantage, this is at least building it into your presentation, even if you don't push it. I would say probably at least 30% of the people you sit with will, ask you to sell it to them if you just show them what it is, because people don't want to deal with those large co-payments that can be had when you have a $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 maximum out of pocket for the year. That can add up pretty quickly for someone on a fixed income who probably doesn't have significant savings. And they're getting a check for $1,200 a month. That can be a lot of money.
No, very good point. I spoke with a lady yesterday who had low-income subsidy, but she didn't have Medicaid. Nope. Well, she did, but she was SLMB, right? So for those of you who deal with DSNPs and dual eligibles, that SLMB status doesn't quite give her the cost share protection that she needs, right? To have her copays paid for, to have her Part B premium all the way paid for. This individual saw the value in a $25 a month hospital indemnity more than somebody who makes 70, 80 grand a year would, because they can't afford that $1,500 bill for that 5-day hospital stay, right? Those are the individuals who actually want it the most. So don't ever prejudge somebody and say, hey, this client just told me that she's battling to see what she needs more, food or gas that month. Well, this policy is important too, almost just as important as food is, right? And groceries and gas, because this is what's going to protect you from being responsible for that bill 1, 2 years, 3 years down the road when your health changes.
I think the nice part too is you can customize. If someone really wants the full coverage and can afford it, you can probably get the premium close to 100. But if someone just wants to cover the basics of the the hospitalization, maybe the ambulance, you're only looking at about $20 a month, which I think for basically even for people on Medicaid is more or less affordable. So I think that the customization aspect is powerful as well.
So yeah, not a plan I usually sell to people who are cost share protected, just because you don't want them losing their eligibility for that assistance through the state, but definitely right on the borderline of LIS and
the partials,
full help, the partials. And then right here again is that household discount question, just looking to see if we live with somebody over the age of 18. Make sure you've lived with them for the last 12 months. So watch how quick we can move through the rest of this application here. Now that we're done talking about the benefits and things, you'll get a chance to review the premium, $71.98. Please, Mr. or Mrs. Jones, remember you'll be charged an additional $25 the first month, bringing you to a total of $96.98. The months following, you'll be deducted the $71.98. Have the ability to write the policy up to 90 days out. Like we talked about, that's pretty important for you during the EP when you're looking to put policies through for a January 1 effective date. So here you have the ability on the e-app to take bank drafts. We don't offer direct bill via the e-app, you would have to complete a paper application for a direct bill. So a monthly bank draft is what we've set up here. If you want the policy to draft immediately, you can leave it on draft immediately. I typically prefer to change that to their effective date. That way, once that policy starts here, they'll see the premiums come out and be reminded that their policy is going into effect. Okay, you can select to draft the initial premium on a specific date, on or before their effective date. At that point, you can select a reoccurring draft. Please keep that recurring draft within 10 days, within 10 days of the effective date. If you go outside of 10 days, what would happen is that policy would start drafting in arrears for the months following. So rather than paying August's premium on August 1st or August 10th, what would happen here is, since we're outside of 10 days, you would actually pay for August premium on July 11th, which I don't want happening. So typically, I'll just keep it on the 1st of the month, as long as they're okay with that. So keep that recurring draft within 10 days unless they're okay with it drafting in arrears. Okay, almost done here, and then I'll let everybody get back to their day. Pausing my screen share for just a minute. For the banking info, again, in order to take one of these policies out on the e-app, you do have to pay monthly bank draft out of a checking or savings account. Direct bill is an option on paper. Open up the outline of coverage and a guide to choosing a Medigap policy. This is not a Medicare supplement plan. That's what this is telling you here. This is not a Medicare supplement policy. Let's go ahead and certify that we've read that statement, and then let's move forward and get it signed. It's a quick and easy e-application, never had any issues with it, so I'm sure you'll like it. Did you meet with the applicant in person? No. I'm doing this one over the phone with Joe. Nobody else was there when present. And yes, the client and I both reviewed the application for correctness and omissions. I'm not related. If I were related, I'd be paid as earned rather than on advancing. Here's a chance to split commissions. If you have another agent out there you're working with doing some ride-alongs, you can go ahead and split that, okay? Or if they're helping you out with some referrals, you have the ability to do so. Here's the HIPAA form. They will get a chance to review that when signing to certify. And at this point, this is where you select your signature option, in person, via DocuSign, or via email. We'll go ahead and use email here and enter the agent's email address, not the client's here. That way, when you get it signed, we get a copy of the app delivered to you with the signatures. You get a confirmation email. So at this point, we'll jump into my Gmail account and walk through the signature process, which is very easy. You'll receive an email from Heartland National, H&L administrators. Okay. In that email from H&L administrator via DocuSign, you'll see a big yellow box, Mr. or Mrs. Jones, that says review document. Please click the big yellow box that says review document. Check the white box that says I agree. Whether this is on their cell phone or their computer, there'll be a little white box to check. Click continue, click start, click sign, and then you'll get the option to select a style, to adopt and sign, or to draw and adopt and sign. Then click sign again on the HIPAA form. At this point, they'll click finish. They'll go back to the email, the agent's email, and they will have a confirmation email with a PDF copy of the signed enrollment form. So that's it, Joe. Any questions for me before we get off here?
Yeah, so if an agent wants to contact you about any questions they have about the product, is there an email or any kind of contact that
Yes. I don't know if you have a chat box or anything, but I'll
I
read it out for everybody. It's 913-636-8709, or you can reach me via email at breed@hnlic.com. So here it is on the screen for you. 913-636-8709, breed@hnlic.com. And thank you for your time.
All right, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome, Joe. Thank you.